but if it's not important to you, it's not important to me either. See, so here's the thing. You've come to court because it's important to you and you're suing for it. So it's important. So one of the things that I'd expect from the plaintiff, if you're positive that their potholes caused your damage, is that you would alert them.
This is the plaintiff, David. He says he brought his car to the defendant's car wash, and as he entered the parking lot, his car got swallowed up by a big pothole. His tire was damaged beyond repair. The defendant refuses to buy him a new tire, so he's suing this bad businessman for the $190.92 he's out. This is the defendant, Anthony. He says he has no idea what caused this guy's tire to puncture. His car wash is located on a beat-up road full of potholes. He has a little one in his parking lot, and shouldn't this guy try to avoid going into a pothole like the rest of the world does? Bottom line, he's not responsible for the plaintiff's bad driving habits. He's accused of not paying up.
All parties, please use your right hand.
What you are about to witness is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in civil court. Both parties have agreed to drop their claims and have their cases settled here before Judge Marilyn Millian in our forum, the People's Court.
People's Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Marilyn Millian is now presiding. Litigants have been sworn. Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
Okay, Mr. David, you're suing Mr. Anthony for $190.92 to replace a tire you say was damaged in front or at their establishment. Tell me what happened.
What happened was I go into the defendant's establishment about 2 times a month, sometimes more, sometimes less. I go in there in May, around May 20th, May 21st of 2022, and there's 3 potholes in the entrance. Can't avoid them. My front tire goes inside the huge pothole, I think. It could have gone in a smaller one, but goes in the pothole. I'm going in the parking lot at about 5 miles an hour, and it's damaged. It has a large... Do
you realize right away that it's damaged?
Yes.
What makes you realize it? A sound or what?
Yeah, the sound. It made a large noise.
Okay.
Yeah. So I thought it was out of air. I get my car washed. I look at this. There's a large bulge on the side of the tire. I think it was a front tire. This was a pretty new tire. It was maybe 3 months old, maybe 4 months old. 5 or 6 months at the most.
So what'd you do?
What I did was, I think I went home and...
Did you speak to anybody at the establishment?
No, there was nobody at the establishment. It's a self-service wash.
And there's not a human working there?
I don't believe so.
Is there a human working at the establishment?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, so it is totally automated?
Yes.
All right, so you go home and what happens?
I figure I'll wait till the end of the week and get it replaced. I was busy all week, and I just wanted to wait till the end of the week on a Friday or Saturday and get it replaced. But I can't do that. On that Monday...
Are you driving?
Yeah, I was driving it.
You kept driving it?
Yes.
Okay, go on.
I kept filling the tire with air, but it was still...
Did you ever call them?
Yes.
When did you call them?
I think about 2 weeks later.
Okay, why did you wait 2 weeks to call them if you're confident it happened at their place?
Well, I had some other problems. My wife had coronavirus a few days after this incident, and I didn't have the time. We're talking about $190.
Right, but if it's not important to you, it's not important to me either. See, so here's the thing. You've come to court because it's important to you and you're suing for it. So it's important. So one of the things that I'd expect from the plaintiff, if you're positive that their potholes caused your damage, is that you would alert them and say, hey, who's going to, at some point sooner than 2 weeks later, because for 2 weeks you're driving on that tire, and their next question is going to be, how do we know it happened at our place?
I was driving 2 days before it gave out.
Well, then why didn't you call them in 2 days if it gave out?
Because I didn't know the number.
Well, why didn't you found the number? Why didn't you find the number? Your wife having coronavirus is not a reason you can't go and press 10 numbers.
On Saturday or Sunday, I had I could not find the number. So what I did was I found out who the owner was sometime that week.
Why would it take you 2 weeks to find out? How did you find out?
I called up the town of Babylon, and I spoke to them, and they told me who the owner was.
Who were you? You were calling the town of Babylon. Why? Because
I wanted to
it was
see
a sidewalk, and you thought they might be responsible?
No, I wanted to see who owned the property.
It didn't occur to you that maybe the town of Babylon was responsible?
The fact is, there were holes throughout the parking lot. It was 3 potholes. It wasn't just one, it was 3 of them.
I'm just curious. Did you have a conversation with the town of Babylon?
Yes.
And what information did they give you about sidewalks?
They only gave me one piece of information as to who the owner was.
Did you ever tell the town of Babylon that, hey, there's a huge pothole in the sidewalk and you guys owe me for a tire?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
Not.
So you call the town of Babylon. You figure out, let me call the town of Babylon, but you figure it out 2 weeks after the event. You don't leave a note at the car wash. You don't mail anything to the car wash. You don't look up. Is your number listed? Is there a number? Does somebody answer?
Yes, we have a number in the car wash in each bay. Any problem, call this number.
Right.
Yes, so there is a number listed.
Right in the bays. Do you have a picture of that?
No, we didn't.
I saw no number.
Is your car wash listed as well? Does it have a phone number?
Yes.
And does someone answer that number?
Yes.
Because I imagine if I have a question for you, how much do you charge or whatever, and you're trying to get business, you would need to have a working phone number.
Right.
All right. And if you've been there a million times, why didn't you just call information and get the phone number? You know the name of it because you've been there a million times.
Well, I know the name of it, but as far as I know, there is nothing. The only way.
Did you
I
ever
was
look
able
up
to get the
information? Did you look up in the yellow pages, or did you go on the internet and try to get their phone number?
I may have. I don't remember. It's been a long time.
All right. So when is the first time you hear from the plaintiff?
I'm not exactly sure of the date.
All right. And what does he say?
He said he in the entrance, coming in the entrance, he hit a pothole, and he damaged his tire.
And what did you say?
I says that's impossible because there is a little pothole, but it's only about 2 inches deep in the front driveway.
2 inches is a pretty deep pothole. I don't know why you're saying only 2 inches deep.
Well, you got to see all the rest of them, Your Honor.
Yeah. So what?
You got to see all the rest of them.
Yeah, I don't live in New York, and people are used to, you're used to a lot of stuff that the rest of us aren't. All right. This here is a picture of an indentation that's probably less than 2 inches. This picture here, how deep do you think that one is?
Yeah, about an inch to 1 to 2 inches.
Okay. And then that's a different one, which is a little indentation. I don't know that that's even 2 inches. Now, this is an atrocity. Is this the sidewalk in front of your business?
Yes.
Right. And are you aware that in your town you are responsible for fixing the sidewalk in front of your business?
I assume so.
Right. You guys got to fix the sidewalk in front of the business. You can't have this hole here.
Yeah, it has been fixed since then.
Yeah, I hope so. What about the other divots? These here, have these been fixed since then?
Yes, they've been fixed also.
Everything's been fixed. Good, because that's what's supposed to happen. You guys you're responsible for the. People think this is unfair and that it's a city sidewalk, but virtually every municipality has that law that says, you know what, we're going to make each of you guys have to do it. In fact, your municipality has this law: each owner, lessor, lessee, tenant, occupant, or other person in charge of any property within the town is responsible to fix it. So if I'm a tenant, I got to pay for the sidewalk. I mean, the city's basically just saying anyone who breathes that's not the city is responsible, which is kind of nutty. How did you end up deciding to fix it? Did the town say something to you?
And yeah, just I just decided to do it because the parking lot was starting to look a little, with those little potholes, it wasn't good, so I decided to fix it.
Right.
I've driven past there numerous occasions, and it was not fixed. It was just recently fixed about.
No, that's what he said.
Yeah.
Right. The problem that we have is this enough to give a pothole? It absolutely is. The problem I have is, did your problem happen here? Because you don't show. What do you mean this? You drove it for 2 weeks before telling anybody that it happened there. That's a problem for you.
Your Honor, I drove it for 2 days.
And then still didn't tell them that it happened there. And they're listed. They have a number. It's listed.
Your Honor, it was not.
Do you understand that this is a problem? That part of your case is a problem? I understand why you didn't tell anybody there because it's fully automated. There's nobody to tell. But according to them, there's phone numbers in every bay. Let's say that's a lie. Let's say it's a bold-faced lie by that man. They're listed in the phone book. They're a business. They're listed. You claim to go there all the time. Why didn't you just call them and say, hey, I just left your place, and there's a pothole, and my tire looks like it has a problem, and why didn't you do that in 3 weeks? Oh, my wife had COVID. Well, you know, I mean...
Your Honor, the situation was I had a number that was to a Mastic car wash, not to this particular car wash. And then I had to make sure that it was a correct number. So,
why don't you just drive by there again if you go there all the time and make sure it's the correct number? If you don't know their name, is that what you're saying? You go there all the time, but I'm sorry, are you saying you go there all the time but you don't know their name?
I don't go there all the time. I go there 2 times a month. So
that's a lot, and you don't know their name? I don't even wash my car that often.
It's a self-serve car wash. I mean, you know, there's 3...
Is it close to your house?
Yeah, it's the closest.
Because I'm not going to buy it when you say no, right? It's close to your house. That's why you go twice a month. Well, then why don't you just drive by there since you're driving for weeks before you tell anybody?
It's actually close to my office. It's not really. It's between my office and house.
Listen. I've got to make sure that I don't have a situation where you have a tire problem and then you see a place you go to a lot and you see this enormous pothole that he's supposed to be fixing and isn't. And then you say, you know what, I'm going to pin it on them. Because you're waiting 2 whole weeks to say anything.
I only 2 days the tire blew out.
When did you say something to this establishment blaming them?
Like I said, within 2 weeks.
All right. Do you have proof your tire blew within 2 days and then you said nothing to anybody? Still said nothing to anybody?
Yes, I do. I have a bill.
Right. So I want to see that. So you get a bill and the bill says $190.
It's actually $190.92.
Lovely. So, and then do you pay for the tire and get a new tire?
Yes.
Right. So I'd imagine when you're forking over $200, that's when it's freshest in your mind that you want the people responsible to pay. And yet, many weeks pass before you ever call them. Yeah. I find that to be problematic, and I'm ruling in favor of the defendant.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So the plaintiff fails to prove his case. He does not get $190 for a new tire from the defendant. Let's see how he feels. David, what's your reaction to the judge's decision?
Rather unhappy about it.
You know, you could have done a lot more work. You just didn't do much. You couldn't, you know, you didn't go to the phone booth. There's so much you didn't do.
I had a receipt. I fixed the tire in 2 days. And I had
waited too
pictures
long
of the potholes.
Bottom line, you waited too long. That's the essence of it, okay?
Thanks.
I'm sorry about it, but that's the judge's verdict, and you can't prevail. I would imagine the defendants feel much better, but yes. That's a bad pothole in front of their place. Let's see how they feel. Anthony, how do you feel about this case?
Yeah, I'm happy.
You should feel lucky.
Yes, lucky.
I think you are very, very... What about that pothole? Have you had that fixed, that big pothole?
Yes, it's been fixed.
The big one, okay.
Yes.
Does this happen to you very often? People sue you for damage to their tires?
No, this is the first time I've had a claim like this.
All right, well, you're very lucky, okay? Congratulations.
Okay, Doug, a cardinal rule. If you take your car to a car wash or you go to a valet, walk around and look at the car, inspect it well, because once you drive off the lot, you're screwed. I'm telling you, 3 weeks and then he comes back, there is no way in the world a judge is going to rule for him.
If I accidentally sent money to a friend through an app and the app says they're not responsible and the friend refuses to return it, can I go after the friend for the money?
Absolutely.
What about the ages, centuries-old common law rule of finders, keepers,
losers, weepers?
Yeah.
First of all, you have to get a better class of friends. Let's just start with that. If you accidentally
that person is not a friend.
That is not a friend.
They won't send the money back. Oh my God.
That's great. Yeah, the apps are never responsible, and they tell you very clearly in the conditions that you say I accept before you get the app downloaded onto your phone that they're not responsible. So know what you're doing. And now what they've done is they have an insurance kind of situation that you could pay with each transaction in case you make a mistake.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So for like an extra buck, you can be protected or whatever. What I always do is I send $5
Yeah, you taught me to do that. I
Right.
send a test payment. It's like
Right.
$1 or $5.
I send
And
$5. I say,
confirm
answer
receipt.
me and confirm you got that
Right.
$5 to the
Right.
vendor.
Before
And
you
then when they
send
say yes,
1,000 or
then I send the whole
500 or
thing. They
whatever it
can't
is.
tell me that they didn't get the money.
Right,
It'll
right,
be to
you
the
know.
same address, and I'll be confident, you know?
I've had lawsuits that I presided over where a bank sent a wire transfer in the millions of dollars to the wrong account. Or at least that's what, that's the claim. It's like, well, it went to this account, it went to
To a guy's account.
The money was supposed to go to Consolidated Lint LLC, and instead it went to Consolidated Lint PA or something, went to some related name. And
what a mistake.
One party was
on the
saying that
part
he
of
got
it.
grifted out of the money, and the other party was saying, oh, no, I have a relationship to the transaction. It really was supposed to go to me and not to my LLC. So it was this big fight, and I left the bench before it got resolved. So I don't really know
he was hanging like that?
I don't know what the answer is, but it was a lot of money.
Yeah.
And, that happens.
But what I've had a lot happen in small claims is when a bank makes a mistake and then the person says, well, you made the mistake. I'm sorry. I paid bills with it.
Right.
But you know how much money you should. How much money you have. You don't get to keep it because the bank made a mistake.
Those people end up in trouble. And sometimes they get prosecuted
That's right.
for
If they
grand
won't
theft and things like that for getting rid of the money.
This is the plaintiff, Lori Williams. She says she hired the defendant to renovate countertops in her hair salon, and she did a horrible job. The corners are sharp and dangerous, and one of her clients put her designer bag on the countertop, and it got stuck in resin. She's now suing this woman for the $5,219 it's going to cost her to fix things up right. This is the defendant, Thompson. She says she did a fine job for the plaintiff, and this woman still owes her money and has the audacity to take her to court? Please. This whole ordeal has caused her a great deal of anxiety. She has to take more medication now because of it and is looking forward to stating her case to the judge today. She's accused of getting into a sticky situation. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $6,000 for the remainder of her fee.
All parties, please use your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket, the plaintiff hired the defendant to redo the countertops in her salon. Says the woman did such a horrible job she had to pay somebody else to redo them, so she wants a refund. Now the defendant says she did a great job for the woman. She's still owed money and is not giving the plaintiff a cent. It's the case of playing for all the marbles.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
Ms. Williams, you are suing Ms. Thompson for $4,800 that you say she owes you because she messed up a renovation. You are counterclaiming against her $6,000, Ms. Thompson. You feel you were underpaid and for pain and suffering. Let me hear from you first, Ms. Williams.
So, yes, I met Ms. Thompson. Back in high school, we reconnected on Facebook. I saw that she did a lot of crafty things, and I reached out to her. Me and her have been working together for the past about 3 years. She worked on numerous projects for me.
Okay.
So I reached out to her with this last project. I had just renovated my top level of my salon, and I wanted my lower level done. She had helped me design the top level as well. I told her what I wanted. She asked me to send pictures. I did that. When I sent pictures, she said she'll give me some ideas, as we always do, because this is what we do. And she said, I have some ideas. And I said, okay. The first idea was the idea of the resin.
Okay.
She showed me a picture that she just did her daughter's, a nail table. I thought it was beautiful. I love sparkly things. I love bling. I thought it'd be perfect.
So what would she do exactly? She would pour resin on top of your counters to give them a new look and, okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, she'll pour resin.
And it was going to be glitter resin. Okay.
Yeah, like a glitter gold resin.
Okay.
And it would create a new look. And I thought the idea was nice. So she told me she would to give her the money to get the resin. And I did that the first, it was like $100.
How much were you going to pay her for her work?
Okay, so the backup, well, she told me for everything, which would be in the countertops, the cushions and pillows, she would charge me $1,000.
Okay.
And I told her, I said, okay. I said, let me get back with you. I said, because I know the labor and the material is two different things.
Okay, so was $1,000 for labor?
The $1,000 was just for labor.
Okay. All right. So did you pay her the whole amount?
I paid her $1,000 as she asked me.
Okay.
Even though that was just for the labor. Also during this time, she had told me that she had material in her storage that she could use, but some of the material that she had, we both agreed that it didn't look right. So then, of course, I would have to purchase that.
Okay.
So that came with.
All right. So what went wrong?
So what went wrong? When she poured the resin, she told me that she didn't like how it was coming out. It was sticky, and she would get back to it because I needed it done in a timely manner because my salon was going to get busy at a certain time. So I initially asked her to do it if she was able to do the bulk of the work in 3 days. And she told me she'll be able to do that. So she did the bulk of the work. She told me she'll come back to the countertops because she needed some type of solution to get the stickiness off. I told her I understood. She started with the cushions, and she started doing that. Everything was looking good. It really was just the finishing touches that she did not want to complete.
Okay, so what is wrong right now, and then we'll get to how it is that things broke down between you two. Right now, what you feel needs completing is that the resin is what? It's sticky?
The resin, as I told her, she even told me before, I don't know anything about this type of work. I'm a hairstylist, so I don't really understand about, those type of materials. She told me herself that the resin was sticky and she needed a solution to get the gook off. I said, okay. So once I noticed it, when my clients was complaining that their things would get stuck to it, I told her. Then also my clients was getting scratched up. They had sharp corners. She told me then, she said, oh, shoot, I forgot to sand it down.
Okay, tell me what's going on here. Okay, Ms. Thompson, I need you to not talk while the trial's going on. All right, Ms. Okay. Yeah, Ms. Williams, what am I looking at here?
So you're looking at, the part that's in the middle is the actual, it looked like it's turned another color because that was where it was so sticky until it seemed like it was some type of substance on it. Then around
I don't understand. I'm looking at, it looks like the resin has chipped away. How did that happen?
It just started peeling off as like that part there that you're zooming in on, that's actually like gunk, like that's on it. That part there is like it's chipped away, and then the corners.
How did it get missing like that?
It just started coming off, like people was getting snagged on. That's why I had people come in to try to patch things down as it was coming. Like you see the corners, those are all like really sharp edges there. So every time somebody walked past it, whether it's their bag, their shirt, it would snag it off.
What is this?
Okay, that's the other part of the mural painting. She put a lot of flowers. We didn't get to that part yet, but that's the part of the mural that I had. She had put like different flowers to create a 3D look.
Actual plastic flowers or silk flowers?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
And?
So once she put those on, I told her if you see the large picture that I sent, it's a mural of myself. I have locks. It's wrapped around my whole lower level. It's beautiful. And she gave me the idea of making it 3D.
Okay, what is your complaint about this? What is your complaint?
So she put so many flowers on there, and she used some type of glue substance that when I tried to remove some of them off, it took all the painting off.
Well, what did you think was going to happen if you glued flowers to the wall? You should anticipate that that's what would happen.
Well, I didn't.
Why were you you changed your mind about the flowers?
No, ma'am, I didn't. It wasn't that I changed my mind about the flowers. It was that I didn't know I thought she was only going to put them throughout sparingly. And she told me whatever she used would not damage my painting. That's what she told me in our conversation.
What is this?
So I really didn't think.
This is a plug that you say was ruined from the resin.
From the resin, yes. So when she poured that resin, it went down in my dryer area. It went down in the filters. That plug had to come off. It was sparking. It was a mess.
What am I looking at right there when I'm seeing the staples?
Okay, she did the chairs. This is the part where we kind of had the issue also. She never covered those. So when people sit down, they seeing staples. So I asked her if she could cover the staples. And that's when she started asking me for saying she needed more money to cover staples. I told her I would buy the products, but I thought that would come with the redoing the pillows.
Okay, Ms. Thompson, why are staples showing on a reupholstery job?
The staples are showing actually because when I did the redesign, as you can see the sequence that is around there, I was going to continue with that sequence. And I was told by Lori that she didn't want to continue with the sequence. She wanted something black in that area. And that is where things started to break down because I looked for trim. This job was completed January 25th. I was still looking for trim to almost a month and a half, 2 months later. She declined everything that I was finding to try to fill that area in for her. So at which point I told her I had been looking for trim well over 3 weeks. And because I was at that point unsure of what she wanted, I asked her to pay the remaining balance of the material cost, which was $130 that I received from her. And that when she found some trim, she was more than welcome to contact me, and then I would go and put the trim on. Because at that point, I had been running around looking for trim for a very long time, and she was saying she didn't like anything that I was finding.
How many trim suggestions did you send her?
Oh, let me think.
1 or 20?
Probably about 20.
And what would be her response? No, I don't like it. No, I don't like it.
That's correct.
All right. So then you told her what? To find it herself?
Yes, that's when I asked her. I said, this job has been completed for a long time. The balance needs to be paid of $130 for the material cost. She had already paid. When we started this job, she asked me if she could make payments. So I allowed her to make payments.
Okay, let's try to stay focused. So when you tell her that she doesn't seem to like any of the trim you're picking, maybe she could pick out her own trim. Why does it descend into you two not talking to each other? Why doesn't she just get her own trim and then you go back and you finish?
Because when I stated that the balance needed to be paid, she stated that she's not going to pay until the job is completed. Which I was baffled because I started doing that job before she made any of her first payments. So it kind of baffled me. And then we went back and forth with the looking for trim still, and I finally, left it on her hands. And then there was a phone call between us.
How'd that phone call go?
She had texted me and asked me to contact her at my earliest convenience, which is also in my documentation. She asked me to contact her at my earliest convenience, and I said, okay. And she was asking me, when am I going to come and do the trim? And I was telling her, about, we had a disagreement about, the way that she was talking to me and the way she was being very derogatory. And I spoke on that, and she had got
What did
upset
you
and
say to
said
her, and what did she say to you?
let me see if I can find it right here, this message.
But no, this was a verbal conversation, right? You tell me, Ms. Williams, what did you two say to each other? Go ahead.
So Ms. Thompson and I was going back and forth to craft stores because we both agreed the trim that we have was not going to fill the gaps.
Okay, but how long does it take to find black trim? It's not that complicated. So if you're both going back and forth to craft stores, why can't you find it?
Because honestly, it was between seasons and they did not have it. They didn't have it. Even the craft stores told me to come back and wait.
Okay, but the $130 she was asking you for was money she had already spent on materials. So why should she have to wait because you can't find black trim? How is that fair to her? She says that she was supposed to put the gold sequins down there and that you would change your mind and not wanted the gold sequins down there.
Your Honor, that's not the truth. She also said that wasn't going to look like it.
Okay, why should she have to be out $130 on materials that you did use? We'll talk about the resin in a second. But why should she be out $130 in materials just because you can't find trim because it's out of season? That doesn't sound fair, does it?
Right, no, that wasn't the case. I paid her for
what
the
made her angry
labor.
is that you're actually saying you don't get paid till the job's over, as though she's going to snake on you. And meanwhile, she started the job before you started paying for it, so she kind of felt that was rude.
I gave her $400 the day she started the job. I came up to the salon and gave her $400. That's not true. I gave her $1,000 and the job wasn't even completed.
Okay.
But that's not true. And you had the statements there to see exactly what it says. She didn't tell me about materials until after I gave her $1,000. She never told me about the additional material costs. If you could look at my evidence.
Okay, but you yourself testified that you realized the $1,000 was for labor.
Yes, but she didn't tell me that I owed her anything else. I had been paying her for a labor that I already purchased during the whole time. This is additional that she added on afterwards.
Right, that you accepted, right? You got the benefit of the $130 worth of product, whatever that was.
No.
What was $130 for, Ms. Thompson?
It was the remaining material costs for the additional materials that she added on.
Can you mind answering a question, though? I asked you specifically what it was for, and you're saying more materials. What was it for? What more materials?
I gave a breakdown of everything, so it was just
Did you give her a bill for materials and she was short $130 on it?
The total materials were $530.
Okay, and she paid you how much for materials? Separate from the labor, how much did she pay you for materials?
$400.
Okay, and how did she pay that $400? Were they
Cash.
Cash. All right.
Two payments. One of
what you're
and one of
okay.
100.
So the answer is the 130 is the remaining balance for the materials that she knew she had to pay you, but hadn't finished paying you. Okay.
Yes.
Now, Ms. Williams, I want to understand. Actually, not really, Ms. Williams, Ms. Thompson. You saw pictures of the resin and the problem that the resin is. What happened there?
Actually, I don't know what happened to the resin. It looked like it's been chipped away. When we left the resin, I provided a video of the before and after of when we did the resin, and it did not look like that. So
That's the point, is that it degraded into that. If it looked like that when you did it, you wouldn't have been paid at all. What I'm asking you is, why do you suppose it's fallen apart like that? Maybe it's not the right product for something that's so high traffic.
No, my daughter is a nail tech, and she uses her table high traffic. We've done multiple nail tech tables, and that has chemicals that
Did
get on
you
there,
tell
and
her
it's never
I'm
looked
not
like
happy with it because it's sticky?
No, I did not.
Okay. Did she tell you, hey, my client's Louis Vuitton bag stuck to it?
No, this is the first time that I'm hearing that.
She had never complained to you that it was sticky?
No, she didn't. What happened was,
when you guys just answer my questions, when everything fell to, when everything went south between the two of you, the only thing in your mind that was left was the trim?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Ms. Williams, can I just ask you, where did you get the idea that it would cost $850 to fix the resin countertops?
Well, someone came in and basically gave me an estimate saying how bad the job was.
Okay, do you have that estimate? Did you provide that estimate to me?
Yes, I sent that in.
Okay, hold on one second. Is this the document? Take a look at this and tell me if this is your proof that it's...
Yes, that's the one I received, yes.
Why are you getting estimates to remove and replace all seats and backs if all that has to be done is the strip?
Because the reason why they said that it has to be removed is because the resin went down where the dryers are. So the dryers and everything have to be disconnected. It's all in one. There's two actual.
You have a counterclaim against her for $6,000 because you feel that a decorator would have charged her a lot more, and you have 71 hours times $60 an hour. So you've decided that even though one of the things you said, Ms. Thompson, is this was the biggest job you've ever done, and she knew I hadn't done anything like this, so she should know that there might be snags. You're actually wanting, you've changed your mind and now you want her to pay you $3,300. On what planet do I change a contract that the two of you had about how much you'd be paid and convert it from $1,000 in labor to $3,300 in labor? How is that right, Ms. Thompson?
Because I provided the hours that I was there.
I don't care. Nobody ever agreed to pay you $60 an hour. You've decided to charge more than what you agreed to, and that's not how contract law works. So on your counter, and then you're also suing for $2,700 in pain and suffering. Ladies, all your pain and suffering has nothing to do with a contracts case. So on your counterclaim against her, $0. And on her claim against you, there is a problem with the resin countertops, frankly. There is. And sometimes we have to be careful because a job we're doing will cost more to fix than what it costs us to do. And there's clearly a problem with the resin countertops. I am going to award the plaintiff part of what she's asking for. She's certainly not going to get $3,700 in pain and suffering. I'm going to award $832 to fix the countertops and another $150 to do the trim work. And that would be a total of $982. And I realize that sucks up your labor, but that's the problem with ruining the countertops. That is my verdict, $982 for the plaintiff.
So the plaintiff prevails. She's going to get $982, not the $5,200 she was actually seeking for, and she gets no pain and suffering. Ms. Thompson, let me ask you a quick question. You are not getting $6,000 that you were doing with you suing for your countersuit, and you got to admit it didn't look good. Am I right?
But I didn't. It wasn't like that when I left it that way. They didn't show the before.
Yeah, but apparently it went bad. Everything started cracking, and your job went bad. I'm sorry. You lose the case, and you got to give her back almost $1,000. Ms. Williams, what's your reaction to the outcome of this case? How are you feeling?
I feel fine. I'm just ready to get back to business, get my countertops going, and slay hair and do it what I do best. And next time, just get someone who is reliable, that doesn't mind coming fixing their mistakes.
Are you sorry you had her do this job? Are you sorry you even had the job started? Because it really didn't look very good, really, huh?
Honestly, I felt like we could have worked things out if she had a better attitude and had better work ethics. That's what I'm sorry about. I'm sorry for dealing with, always giving people chances. And I'm just going to just do better next time and get someone who's worth my time and money.
Yeah, and you were old-time friends. You've known her a long, long time, worked with her many times. You feel bad about it now? I guess that friendship's over, right?
Well, she wasn't ever my friend. To be able to abandon a job and to leave me like that, she was never my friend. And I'm fine. I got so many other people supporting me. So I'll get this job fixed enough time.
All right. Very good. All right. Well, I hope you're satisfied with the $1,000 back, or just about $1,000. That's all you're going to get, $982.
That's fine. Yep.
Okay. Harvey, what are you thinking?
So, Doug, there is a truism in the law, which is that you can't sue for pain and suffering over a contract. A contract is a business deal, and pain and suffering is not recognized. Pain and suffering is for things like personal injury, and that's not the case here.
If I get an Amazon package delivered that isn't mine, am I required to return it? I would return it, but I just want to know if I'm required.
Funny, of course you have to return it, and you have to notify Amazon that you've got it. In fact, in some states, I don't know, in the northeastern states, might be Connecticut, you actually have an obligation, if you find property, to notify the nearest police precinct within a certain amount of time, within a reasonable time, to just show that you didn't really intend to pilfer whatever it was. And not only that, there are also, some guys are doing, because there's been so many thefts from people's front porches, there's this really clever engineer who's created these exploding packages that they have stink bombs in them, and confetti and glitter goes all over the place, and a siren goes off, and they're just designed to make people's lives miserable.
Who are thieves.
Right.
Who are trying to take the packages off of your...
Right.
You're right.
So it could be one of those. So, beware, I suppose.
Yeah, I kind of resent that I have to go through the effort. There's so much effort involved in life, and I have to go through the effort. I mean, it's kind of easy with Amazon. You just... you could drop it off
fixing
at
their
Whole Foods.
mistake.
Do you remember when Sophie called Uber Eats? And she ordered, she'd been waiting all night for the food, she and her boyfriend, and then the food came, and then the food never came. She kept calling. They said, no, it's delivered. We've got a picture of it delivered.
Right.
Well, and she had security footage in her lobby.
Yeah, right,
and the
delivery guy.
The delivery guy
brought it,
delivers it, takes a picture, and then grabs it and takes it. We see him on camera doing that.
He stole it.
Right.
He took a photo to prove delivery, and then he just grabbed it again and walked out. She got the security footage.
When the security guy wasn't looking, but the security guy had the camera, so he replayed the camera to watch what had happened.
He was probably hungry. He had to have dinner.
Are you kidding me? On my nickel? No.
Right. What became of that? She complained. The guy got canned from his job.
The guy probably got canned. I mean, we complained to Uber Eats.
Right.
We got our money back.
That's a crime.
And then they wouldn't give back the tip that she gave the driver.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
And I argued with her. I go, you argued for that $5. She goes, oh. That's because you didn't earn the $5. Unbelievable.
Wow.